Senator Waters, you have the call.
Questions on notice to follow up.
Senator Waters, you have the call.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks very much. I've got a few questions on a number of issues. Firstly, the EPBC assessment of Rio's bauxite mine expansion in SEWPaC on Cape York is currently underway. When is the final decision due to be made?
Senator James Barker, Acting Assistant Secretary, Environment Assessment and Compliance Division. The proponent is currently finalising its environmental impact statement for that project. When that's finalised, it will be provided to the department, and the process and the timeframes will continue from there. There will be a 30 business day period from the receipt of their final environmental impact statement until a decision is due on that project, unless further information is needed.
Have they given you any indication when they will submit the EIS?
They are currently preparing responses to public submissions that have been made on that statement. We expect that to occur in the coming months, but they haven't nominated a particular date.
Okay, thank you very much. Just on Gladstone, of course, fellow Queensland Senator, as you would know, there's been a huge increase in dead wildlife. Dugongs, turtles are now sick fish, and sick fishermen for that matter. Now, some believe that that's from the floods, but given the most recent turbidity data from September that the Ports Corp themselves have collected, which shows extreme turbidity at 3 different sites within the harbour, what are you as the regulating body doing about it? I understand that the conditions require the submission of a dredging and construction management plan. Can you tell me about, are there turbidity parameters in that plan, and have they been breached with this most recent September data from the Ports Corp?
Senator, yes, the Ports Corporation was required to provide a dredge management plan and also to establish an expert panel to oversee the implementation of that plan. As I answered to Senator Boswell, we are of the view that they are complying with that dredge management plan. The peaks in turbidity that were reported were abated very quickly. They ceased dredging immediately those peaks were reported, and the view offered was initially that the peaks were partly due to the very high tidal movements at that time, and the second set of reports were a result of the, as I mentioned earlier, the movement of some very fine silts through the Bund Wall. Now, in both those cases, we were satisfied that the Ports Authority responded very, very promptly, that they did cease operations until the water quality levels returned to acceptable levels, and that they have maintained the to keep their operations within the levels of acceptability that were approved.
Thank you. So if turbidity is already peaking after only 2 million cubic metres have been dredged and there's 44 million cubic metres to come, when will you be recommending to the Minister that the dredging stop? And what are you doing about all of the dead fish, dugongs and turtles? Well, how much more wildlife has to die before the dredging will stop?
The turbidity levels were the peaks in turbidity levels were very localised. They were not broad scale. It is we don't believe that there's any evidence that at this stage that the dredging itself is causing a long-term problem. The Minister can review his conditions if he believes that there is new information to point to that. At this stage, we have not been presented with any substantial new information to consider that.
Thank you. So it's interesting that you say there's no evidence of the dredging causing the problems, but unfortunately the department's not undertaking its own studies. Be that as it may, I've just got one final question. What advice will you be providing to the Minister, or have you provided to the Minister, regarding whether or not any existing approvals in the World Heritage Area should be suspended during the course of the UNESCO requested strategic assessment of development in the World Heritage Area? Will anything stop while you're looking into what's going on in this area and while you're preparing the strategic assessment, or will it be business as usual?
Senator, as we mentioned in the heritage section, we can't answer a question about what we will advise the Minister. However, what I can report to you is that each of the cases that are currently under consideration in Queensland, under assessment in Queensland, are being carefully considered in terms of any potential impact on any matters of national environmental significance and assessed according to those impacts.
So will any of those assessments be stalled while the strategic assessment is prepared?
We will expect to develop transitional provisions in terms of the strategic assessment when the Queensland Government has formally signed off on that strategic assessment.
So none of the existing assessments will be paused while the strategic assessment is prepared?
Well, I don't believe that the Act includes
so what
a provision
will the strategic
for pausing.
assessment cover? What will be left for it to cover if everything's already going to continue to be approved?
Is that
it's a genuine question.
Well, there are a range of proposals for development along the coast of Queensland, and it would be expected that a strategic assessment might take between 18 months and 2 years, or perhaps 3 years at the outside to complete. And so any proposals for development along the coast of Queensland that was likely to occur after that point would be included in the strategic assessment.
So if you're a coal port, get your application in now. Thanks very much.